We started off with a brilliant year. The boat show in February was really well received and sales were good at the boat show, so everybody was looking very optimistic about how the year was going to continue. And of course, then March and April came along and everybody, that's just a 180, thought that was going to be the end of the world. But I guess reality set in and we got opened up a little bit and then the phone started ringing. And they haven't stopped ringing. And just about every yacht brokerage firm I've talked to, every dealer has just had record phenomenal summer and selling boats continuously. So it just did a 180 turnaround from March and April, and everybody is more or less happy with the results so far this year. Well, hopefully it continues. I think it all will depend on the economy, and people have come to the realization that they're not going to be traveling around the world, so they're going to really try to explore this province even more so than this last summer, I believe, and boating is one method of doing that. The problem as we may face and some of the other dealers may face is getting actually product out of the factory. The factories are going full bananas, but they are behind now. And so there may be a wait list for some products out there, and that may frustrate some people. But I think it's, if you're patient and you really want that boat, you wait for it and it'll come to you. So, 2021, I wish I could predict, right? It's the $1 million question. But I have to be optimistic and say it's going to be another great year.
Good morning to you. My name is Ian McPherson, and I represent the bareboat and sailing school industry. And they've asked me to give you a bit of a report about the infamous 2020, the season that almost never was. To start off with, it was extremely daunting. We did not have a single charter for the first 3 months of our season. And then we were fortunate enough that the market shifted to the Canadians because we lost our entire American market and we lost the Europeans. But the Canadians stepped up to the plate and took on those bookings that weren't being met by the Americans. So all in all, despite having lost the first few months of the season, we did relatively well. We're still in business, alive and kicking, so that's the good thing. What do we see for the future in this lot? Well, I think it's going to be some time before normalcy. You could call that returns. You're going to find that we're going to continue to deal with the Canadians. We're going to develop that market nicely. And I see that being a good positive because these folks are getting out and exploring our backyard. And probably for the first time in many of their lives, what a fantastic backyard it is. So I think we'll do quite well. And it's actually quite comforting to be out at the moorages now and the anchorages, and they're not terribly crowded.
Hello, my name is O'Day Siri. I'm head of the Marina Sector Group for Boating BC. I've been in the marina business for over 10 years through a family-owned marina on Vancouver Island, and also as the regional representative for Portaloo Marine, a marine engineering and dock manufacturer. Through this work that we've led, Boating BC is hoping that the enhanced dialogue will help shape policy, making investments in marina infrastructure easier and more efficient. We're excited about this work, and we're looking forward to making further announcements and giving updates to our members in the weeks and months ahead. With a large number of marinas approaching their end of life, marina owners and operators must navigate a very challenging maze of approvals and consultations if they want to rebuild. Pandemic aside, government advocacy has always been at the forefront of our efforts, and I'm pleased to update Boating BC members that the Marine Sector Group has initiated a working group between Transport Canada, Indigenous government leaders, the Province of BC, Environment Canada, and the Department of Fisheries and Oceans, all entities required to work together during a marina approval process for renovations or redevelopment. And this is really important moving forward for this particular sector. Without doubt, this has been one of the most challenging years for any business to face, let alone marinas. And specifically for this industry, the impact of COVID-19 did impact marinas in a very different way depending on where you are in the province. For example, resort locations, resort areas, those marinas really struggled. Why? The borders were closed, And the lifeblood of these facilities is really centered around international boaters or United States boaters, which did not happen. That market evaporated, and the domestic market just couldn't fill that void, largely driven by the fact that many domestic boaters wanted to stay closer to their home port. Now, alternatively, in those local markets where there's greater population densities, it was the reverse effect. These marinas were full and couldn't have enough slips available for the pent-up demand for people to get on the water. And that was driven by the same factors of borders being closed and people being unable to travel outside of British Columbia, which meant that many people were reigniting their passion for boating and wanting to get out on the water. So you had a very different situation depending on where you are in the province. Now, as we look to 2021, there is cautious optimism that vaccines will bring some semblance of normalcy back to everyone's lives. And with that, hopefully two things will emerge. One, we'll start to see transient boaters returning to the resort locations and to the remote locations across the province. That would be a boon for those marina operators. And secondly, the boaters who entered the boating market this past year, we need to keep them. We need to make them stay in the boating world. And that will help our marinas in local markets that need domestic boaters see continued growth as well.